Hi, my name is Joshua Dyer, and I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm a media missionary with New International, and today we have two special missionary guests, Tom and Vicky Hall. See, have you ever wondered what it's like to be called as a missionary? Well, for Tom and Vicky Hall, it meant going all the way to Kenya. You'll get to hear their wonderful story about how they are serving in the community of the Maasai people and how through the program of child sponsorship that they've been impacting individuals, families, and communities for Jesus Christ. All right, so now we're going to be having our interview with Tom and Vicky Hall. Tom and Vicky, how are you guys? What are you guys up to today?
Hey, Joshua.
Hello.
We're enjoying our lockdown and quarantine time still, so just trying to get through the day.
All right,
Making the best out of the lockdown.
excellent, excellent. Just so if people don't know what you guys do, can you tell us what ministry you are and where you're located?
Yeah, we're ministering here in Narok, Kenya. That's in the southwest part of Kenya.
Okay.
And we're with Africa Hope. Africa Hope's a ministry of New International, and that's in the western part of Kenya.
And just for everyone's perspective, what is it like there? Vicky, if you could describe the weather, maybe the terrain that you're located in.
The weather's really been nice. Is nice here most of the time. It doesn't get really hot, and it doesn't get really cold. Lately, it's been in the low 70s, and then in the morning when you wake up, it's in the high 50s. So the weather's been beautiful. We've had a lot of rain, so that's been a little bit of concern for some of the people here. When we first got here, there was a drought going on for about 2 years. And now it's going to the extreme, too much rain for some of the areas. So Interesting.
Yeah. And you guys work with Africa Hope, but inside Africa Hope is child sponsorship. Can you describe what that is, Tom, for those that don't know?
Sure. New International and Africa Hope partnered together to start a child sponsorship program. Most people are familiar with a lot of big child sponsorship programs around the world where it connects a person as a sponsor to a child and their family in a vulnerable community around the world. So the child sponsorship here at Africa Hope is slightly different than some of the other ones that you might be familiar with. In that that it has a component of the program where they actually do a direct give. So part of the money that the sponsor gives every month goes as a direct cash to the family to help them directly. That's something a little different.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more into detail about that and how that specifically really helps boost not just the individual, but the family and the whole community. And when I joined New International, I think that's what really set you guys apart from other people. Like, wow, you guys are really making a difference for Jesus Christ and to build a community up. And in fact, we've got a video done by Jason Simonson. I think that's right.
Simonson.
And he's got he went there a little bit ago, and he's got a video describes a little bit about that what child sponsorship is. If we could watch that video now.
Hey guys, what's going on? We just got back from Narok, Kenya, and I want to tell you a little bit about our trip in the next 60 seconds. Now, Kenya is a beautiful land filled with amazing people, but it also is dealing with overgrazing and unclean water that makes it very difficult for families in the rural areas to survive. In one of the homes we went to, a family of 5 lived in a space that was about the size of the average American kitchen. I used to be against poverty, but now I hate poverty, because poverty should not exist in the same world as Jesus Christ. And we as Christians are commanded to show the physical love of Jesus to these people. So let's band together and let's work together to end extreme poverty indefinitely.
That's a powerful video. I think that really shows what you guys do there in Kenya, how you guys are impacting the community, and showing ways that, extreme poverty can be eliminated. And I like what Jason was saying, that it shouldn't exist in a world that Jesus Christ has created. And what you guys are doing down there makes a huge difference. Now, let's go into some specifics, guys. Tom, what do you guys do there with child sponsorship in Kenya?
Sure. We work in these Maasai communities, and we don't speak the Maasai language. We actually went to language learning for Swahili, which is the national language of Kenya. So we go with our supervisors who can interpret the language. But what we do in child sponsorship when we go out there is, one of the main things is we help deliver the letters that the sponsors write to their sponsored children and their families. We make the delivery. We bring the letters out to them. We help facilitate them writing responses back to make sure that they're answering the questions, what's your favorite color, what's your favorite subject, and that type of thing. And then we also help make sure that they're understanding the program, because the direct give part of it, where they get cash, also requires them to take some training, some financial training, where they learn how to budget and that type of thing. So Vicky's able to help when we go out with teaching those classes and facilitating learning about the financial part of it. So, really the best part of it all is just seeing, being there and seeing in person how that affects the community, and how the sponsored kids and their families are just transformed by, knowing that somebody cares, and they can make that connection with them.
I think what you guys are doing there is absolutely amazing. And I know through COVID, you guys said you were in lockdown. How has that impacted what your ministry does? I'm sure it's impacted it in a major way. Can you describe that?
Well, we're not able to go out to the rural areas right now, because they just want to use precautions so that none of them, nothing happens. So we've just been doing things around here, a few projects that that Africa Hope needs here. So we're just kind of trying to be patient and being in prayer and waiting for this to pass.
Yeah. One of the things about the COVID-19 with the child sponsorship program and the direct give portion of it is really, we're hearing great stories when our supervisors phone and call out there to check on the communities and see how everybody's doing, to make sure everybody's healthy and still safe out there. They're telling us that without this, because of the lockdown and the closing up of open markets and things out, even in those rural areas, that because of the direct give, it's making a huge difference in the economy of these remote communities. Because once every month, they're getting a small portion of that money directly in their pocket, so they can go buy food and the things that they need that aren't really available if they don't have the money now.
Yeah. And I don't know if you have these numbers about how many children are being sponsored there in Kenya with the Maasai people.
I think you can check with Jason on this one, because he's their sponsor. So we're a little bit behind the curve. So I might give you some older numbers, but since we've been here, I think it was around 300 sponsored. But I believe there's a lot more have just recently been sponsored back in the U.S. and haven't got put into the system yet. So, but the program is probably about 10 years ahead of where they thought New International thought it would be when they implemented it and started. It's phenomenal what God's doing.
I think we may have touched base on this, but I really want to talk about that direct give and how that's really impacting. I know it's impacting through COVID, but outside of COVID, break it down. How is it impacting not just the individual, but the family and community? I just find this so fascinating.
Sure. What happens is the Maasai communities are mostly communities where they herd sheep and goat and cows, and they would normally take sheep and goat and cows to the market to sell to get their money to then turn out to buy food and clothes and pay school types of things. So it all depended. Everything was depending on how well you could herd your livestock and how healthy you could keep them. So in the time of the 2 years of drought they just had, a lot of the cattle weren't healthy, and it was hard to sell them. So
Right.
our family gets a small portion of the child sponsorship money each month. Made all the difference in the world. We heard testimonies of, we've been able to send our kids to school now when we weren't able to send them to before because we had the money. When they have money to put food on the table, and they're a very community-based culture, the Maasai. So if one family is benefiting from it, you can be sure that they're going to make sure their neighbor is going to benefit from it too. So if they buy food with the money that they get from direct give, but their neighbor doesn't have a sponsored child, they're very generous within their community, and so they'll make sure that all their neighbors have as well.
Man, that's fantastic. If someone's interested in hearing more about how to sponsor a child, or where to go, do you normally send them to their webpage, and is that difficult to sponsor a child?
No, it's pretty simple. New International's got the web sponsor.org, and you can go there, and it's very user-friendly, very quick and easy, self-explanatory. So, yeah, they've done a good job there.
Yeah, I'm on there right now. So I'm a New International Child Sponsorship, and it's so easy. I can click a sponsor a child today. I click there, takes you to New International page, and look at this. I'm looking at Brian, David, I think it's Helen, Isaiah. There's so many there to choose from, and it's just amazing what you're doing. I love it. So how did you guys get called into this type of programming? Did you guys, child sponsorship, did you guys always want to go to help Kenya or help children? What was that like?
For quite a few years, Tom and I were part of, in our church, we were part of the missions team, and we would lead mission groups to lead them to short term for a week, couple times a year. To mostly we were going to Ecuador.
Right.
I mean Guatemala. We've gone to Ecuador also, but Ecuador is where we were for the most part. We would go to one village. I think 6 years we were going 6 years for a couple times a year, so we were really able to build up a relationship with the people, and our church was sponsoring quite a few of the children there, so we were a big part of that, and I think that was part of God preparing us for what we're doing now.
Yeah, we got the calling. We got the calling. The more we went on those short-term teams, the more we felt that call from God that this is what we should be doing. And we had no idea. You asked about Kenya. Kenya was never on our radar at all. In our mind, it was Guatemala, and the other places we've been would be the natural place for us to become full-time mission. God always works. And when the door opened and we met people at New International, and they told us about what they were doing with child sponsorship here in Kenya, the light bulb, the fire, whatever you want to call it, came on and said, "This is where you're going." So here we are.
Excellent. Now, I know with a lot of New International missionaries, a lot of us aren't necessarily pastoral in our calling. Like I'm in media, you're with child sponsorship, but you're still using, you're still teaching from the Bible. You're still helping people understand things. What would you say to someone that's thinking about becoming a missionary but doesn't have that pastoral background? How would you encourage them that maybe missionary life is for them?
Well, if I would start with, if they're hearing the calling, forget about your background, forget about who you are, what you've done. You've probably heard the old saying that said, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And so when you hear that calling, the key word for us has always been obedience, just obedience to the call, saying yes. Stop making excuses, stop thinking of reasons why not, and say yes and watch God do amazing things. So that's my encouragement to anybody out there listening. If you're hearing that calling, be yes, and watch God.
And what you said earlier, like you don't actually speak the language of the Maasai, do you? But you're able to communicate with them through what I'm going to call it like object lessons. And you share with me a great story, Tom, about how you're able to communicate with them through object lessons. Could you share one of those object lessons with us that you're able to communicate with them?
Sure. I don't have the object with me.
Right.
In the village, when we're doing Bible studies in the community, Vicky and some of the women will get together and translator go through Bible lessons. And what I would usually do is bring along with us an object lesson. If they've done the Bible lesson straight out of the Bible, sometimes it just helps us to get another look at something. So some of us are visual learners, some are audio learners. So we had a good Bible study one time. They had talked about the parable of the mustard. Vicky and the women all got together and they did a whole mustard seed. And when it was done, I had it with me to eat for lunch, actually, on the way back, on the way home. But during on me that I could use that as an object lesson. So what I did was when they were done, I through the translator, I sliced the apple open, put them the seeds that are inside the apple, and we just talked about, how many, if I take one seed out of this apple and put it in the ground and we grow another apple tree out of it, and then I take another seed and we can grow another apple tree and another one. And then we said, how many apples will you get from each one of these seeds to see how it is exponential? And it really helped them understand the kingdom of God and, how faith, like a mustard seed, and the kingdom of God grows like a mustard seed. So, yeah, it's a great fun to help make those things more understandable cross-culturally and cross-language.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Thank you for answering the call that God has given to you. How would you say people react to the gospel when it is presented, either in their language or through object lessons?
Just by the reaction of the people, they want to know. They're hungry to know, and they're very interested. Will ask questions, and it's surprising how many will ask questions, and we're able, answer the questions, and we're able to have good discussions. So that they're interested, and it really makes you feel good and happy that they're hungry for that.
And even from adults all the way to children, you hear the phrase. We hear the phrase a lot. We're so glad somebody came and told us. We're just so glad that somebody came and told us. And that's what it is about spreading the gospel and the good news is, we're so glad that somebody came and told us.
I love it. Yeah, because someone told us, right? Someone maybe went out of their comfort zone to tell us about Jesus Christ. And, that radically changed our lives. And there you are on the mission field, helping to change other people's life by presenting the gospel to them. We don't got a lot of time left, but real quick, do you guys have a specific story of life changed because of the ministry that you're doing down there?
Well, we just talked to our one of our supervisors earlier this week, and she was telling a story, again, relating back to child sponsorship and the direct give part. There was a family in one of the communities. Because of the COVID, they've closed down the open markets, so nobody can go to the open market. And the normal way they would make money is take one of their goats or sheep to the open market and sell it to get the money they need. Well, there's a family in one of these communities recently. They didn't have a big herd of livestock. All she had left was one sheep, a mother sheep, and a baby that she had just had a baby. She was just getting ready to take so she had a mother and a baby. She was getting ready to take the mother sheep and sell it to get money to buy food for her family because that's the only thing she had. So that would have left her a baby with no mother. And then she got word that she was getting the monthly direct give was coming directly to her. And so she didn't have to sell the mother sheep. They were able to keep it and get the direct give money and go out and buy all the food and the things that they needed, probably enough to last for the whole month for them. And they were just so thankful. She told our supervisor, just so thankful about the impact that makes in their life. And they know that those good gifts are coming from God. Yes, they come from sponsors. Yes, they come through Africa Hope. Yep. But they understand completely that all good gifts come from God. And they're blessed by it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Before we go, I just wanted to put up that website one more time. It's is it newsponsor.org? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Newsponsor.org. All right. And so
yes, newsponsor.org.
You guys are making an impact. That program is making a huge impact. Through COVID, it's making a direct impact because they have cash on hand. They can eat. They can get to the market. They can, if they can't work, they can at least use that money to buy the necessities of life. And so, yeah, newsponsor.org. Yeah, please go there and either pick up a child, maybe to sponsor on a monthly basis, or at least a one-time thing during this time. Can't stress that enough, that people, they need the cash on hand, and it's making a huge difference when they get the cash on hand to put the money back into the community. And that's the way to do it. I think it's really exciting to see how that works. Before we go, we do have a lot of people that are saying hi to you live on Facebook. I know you're not watching this on live, but we got a shout out from a lot of people, the Center Point Church, Pam Jordan, Joyce Hampton, Mary Beth, Vicky Meyer.
Oh,
yeah. So
love you guys.
Love you all.
And we miss you.
Miss you too.
What's that? Phil Hudson. Yeah, Phil Hudson says hello too. Yeah.
Hey, Phil. Absolutely. Hi, Phil. Hey, Mary Beth. Hi, Vicky.
Watch out, the boss is watching.
Well, Tom and Vicky, it's been such a pleasure to have you guys here today. Thank you for sharing what God is doing through your ministry and through your life and your obedience to God's calling. Anything else you'd like to share before we head on out?
We're just grateful that God has brought us here. Like you said, we said we're really surprised that it was Kenya, but we're just thankful, and we're just blessed. And we thank everybody for helping us to be here. We get overwhelmed sometimes when we think about where God's brought us, and to just see where He's going to continue to bring us as He keeps doing what He's doing.
Amen.
All right, guys. Well, our prayers are with you as you're in COVID lockdown still. Hopefully that gets over soon. And we love you guys. Thank you for your heart and for your missions. And I'm sure we'll spend some time talking again in the future. You guys take care and have a great day.